Bali to start LRT development in September, not too far from now. And golden visa only for good quality travelers, says Jokowi. Stay tuned for more on these stories and others. Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is July 27th, 2024, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Another gorgeous day. It is 29 degrees Celsius, and the humidity is 61%. Wind speed is 4.7 kilometers per hour, and some slight haze, but otherwise, wow, just lovely. Not too hot, not too cool. Just perfect. Okay, a lot of stuff going on since last time. As usual, this is just a busy place with all my grandchildren, and they are here. Well, 3 of the 5 of them, and wow, it's a lot of fun. But wow, as you get older, it's also a bit tiring. So let's get on with it. Big thing, right? You have probably seen this by now. A helicopter with some tourists in it crashed because it got tangled up in kite strings. Yeah, well, everybody survived, and so that's good news. But I don't know. Safety things sometimes here. Okay, but not going to talk about that today because everybody's okay and the government is investigating, and we'll see what is going to happen. And if there's some changes made, we'll talk about it in the next video. Let's get on to the LRT. Bali to start LRT development in September. So the expectation is that the construction of the underground tunnels and tracks for the light transit system, or light rail transit system, is going to begin in September, paving the way for the island's first rail-based transportation system. The project is part of the so-called Bali Urban Railway Development Plan, which will also include supporting infrastructure such as telecommunications, electricity, drinking water, waste and sewage management, good, and transportation-oriented developments. The groundbreaking is expected to take place at the central parking in Kuta, which will also serve as the management office responsible for operating the system. There will be 4 development phases, according to Ari Askara, who is the president director of PT Sarana Bali, which is in charge of this big project. On Wednesday this week, SBDJ nominated PT Bumi Indah Prima as the project's consortium leader to coordinate participating investors. Previously, it was partnered with a Chinese company, French company, and German company. Residents and tourists, as you know, have faced congested roads for years, and the government has often blamed the narrow roads and motorists parking illegally on them. Of course, you could move them, combined with the high volume of vehicles. Meanwhile, the island also lacks a comprehensive public transportation network, with services patchy in some areas and slow in others, and non-existent in others. Building an underground public transit system will help navigate several challenges, including the 15-meter height cap for buildings and costly land acquisition. The construction of the underground tunnels is expected to be minimally disruptive to tourism activities on the island. Oh, that's going to be interesting. The project is set to cost about 20 billion US, and the first phase will be about half of that total. And it will connect the airport with central parking, Seminyak, and Canggu, and future phases will extend it down to Nusa Dua, Sanur, and even Ubud. National Development Planning Minister said that the project would not create debt for the central and local governments. He said, "I'm sure investors already have their own calculations, which includes how they will seek returns for their investments. I hope more projects like this can be done in many other places in the archipelago." Acting Bali governor said that he urged the company behind the projects to ensure that tickets remain affordable, especially for Bali's local inhabitants. The ticket should not be too expensive, he said. The company must subsidize the price so Balinese people can afford it. Yeah, because if it's not affordable, nobody is going to use it. They're going to stick with their cars and especially their motorbikes to get to work and to do their daily shopping and everything else. They're going to start the underground tunnels in September. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And of course, rainy season's coming in November or December. And, well, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, so good luck. We'll follow up on this and see how that's going to work out. And what about the golden visa, right? So the golden visa, that's been around for a while, not officially, and a lot of talk about it. And now it's officially out with the first person to get the golden visa. Golden visa only for good quality travelers, says Jokowi. Indonesia's long-term visa scheme, called the Golden Visa, is only meant for good quality travelers, according to the president. He said this during the policy's launch on Thursday, as he warned against allowing newcomers who bring no benefits or who might pose threat to national security. The government officially launched the program on Thursday, and this aims to attract foreign investors, global talent, and the diaspora to put their money into the country or contribute their expertise in exchange for longer permits to stay in the country between 5 and 10 years. Since currently there are not many countries that show such strong economic growth, political stability, abundant natural resources, and demographic bonus, Indonesia should be a promising investment destination and a place where global talent can contribute, according to the president. The long-term visa, he added, would create a multiplier effect for Indonesia, the largest economy in Southeast Asia, boosting the capital game, work opportunities, and transfers of technology. But, he said, keep in mind, these visas are only for good quality travelers, so authorities must carefully select and evaluate the contribution of each applicant. Under the scheme, individual investors are required to set up a company worth $2.5 million US, and you get a 5-year golden visa for that. And for $5 million, you get a 10-year visa. Corporate investors are required to invest $25 million to get 5-year visas for directors and commissioners. They need to invest $50 million to get a 10-year visa in a bid to lure more foreign investors to the ongoing mega project. Wow, that's a tough one to get out. To build Indonesia's future capital city, Nusantara, in East Kalimantan, the government set a lower value of $5 million for investment in Nusantara to get a 5-year visa and $10 million for a 10-year visa. Different provisions apply to individual foreign investors who do not want to set up a company. To get 5-year or 10-year visas, they have to put up $350,000 or $700,000 respectively through buying government bonds, stocks of publicly listed companies, or deposits. Aside from targeting high net worth investors, the government would also grant the golden visa to global talent recommended by various ministries. The applicants are not required to invest money in this case, but they have to offer their expertise to the country. And who would be a good example of that? Well, the golden visa has already been granted to OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, national soccer team coach Shin Tae-jong, and an undisclosed Nobel laureate in economic sciences. I wonder who that is. The Immigration Directorate has granted golden visas to almost 300 applicants since it began testing the policy last year. It's gotten $122 million US in investments now, and it's aiming to get 1,000 people in the program by the end of the year. The government is mainly targeting investors from 10 countries with the largest investment in Indonesia, such as Singapore, China, the US, and Japan. What about Australia? Currently, there are lots of investment opportunities in downstream industries like nickel, metals, and plantations. Several countries offer similar investment visa schemes, but others, including Canada, the UK, and Singapore, have scrapped their schemes as the government concluded that they don't create jobs and they could be a means to park speculative money in the country. Responding to Jokowi's concerns over foreigners who might harm national security, the head of immigration said his office would conduct a rigorous vetting process for all golden visa applicants, and including communicating with Interpol and the financial transaction reports and analysis center. Okay, so 2 stories on development. And here is one on, well, destination programs. Pak Sandiaga recommends continuing super priority destination program. The Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy recommended to the next government to continue the development program of 5 super priority destinations that support our leading destination of Bali. According to him, the development of the 5 super priority destinations should continue because the level of visits to destinations in the 5 regions has increased significantly in the past year. Of the 5 super priority destinations for visits, the champion is Jogja with more than 5 million, because Borobudur is under the management of the Tourism and Creative Economy Ministry. Pak Sandiaga said tourist visits also increased significantly to Lake Toba and Labuan Bajo and Mandalika, and he said we need to improve in Likupang, that's in North Sulawesi, through promotion and also through destination development. Additionally, the Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy said that in the 5 super priority destinations, it's hoped that all of them will be equipped with world-class infrastructure, such as the Jogja International Airport. And he said we've got MotoGP in Mandalika, and there's ecotourism development in Labuan Bajo, and Lake Toba is the main attraction is F1 powerboat event. So more and more on development. Of course, Bali is, well, it's going to be developed so that it is unknown to people who have been around for a long time like me. But there is no stopping what has been called progress. And what about how some local people think about this? Bali becomes a place of international crime for foreign nationals. PEKAT IB Bali voices aspirations at the Ministry of Law and Human Rights. Who is PEKAT IB Bali? I'll get to that in just a minute. Dozens of members of the United Defenders of the Indonesia Homeland Bali organization voiced their aspirations at the Bali Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights. They conveyed their aspirations through speeches and banners regarding the rampant issue of deviant behavior by foreign nationals that is disturbing security and order in Bali, even to the point of international crime. The head of the DPW, PEKAT IB Bali province, said that this action was to encourage the Ministry of Law and Human Rights and Immigration to promote control of foreign nationals who act up and emphasize that Bali is not a haven of crime. We met with the regional office to improve the situation and conditions of Bali tourism, such as through administrative immigration actions, such as inclusion on a list of people who are banned from coming here, restrictions on residence permits, prohibitions on being in certain places in the territory, and the imposition of a fee or deportation from the territory of the Republic of Indonesia. This party also voiced aspirations for the Regional Office of Law and Human Rights and Immigration to continue to increase supervision in order to maintain security and order through operational activities on both a local and a national scale. According to data from the Director General of Immigration, in the first semester of 2024, 1,503 foreign nationals were deported. We hope that immigration and the police will be more optimal in supervising and prosecuting foreign nationals, and the synergy between the two parties can minimize the problem of residence permit and criminal activities so that it can reduce state expenditure, which continues to soar every year. He said that foreign tourists who are currently acting beyond limits must be prevented and controlled. And this happened right at the same time, concurrently, with the well-known bust of another drug lab here, this time in the Ubud area, run by foreign nationals. And, well, it's got everybody up in arms about this. We've got foreigners coming in here doing drug labs, along with all the usual crazy stuff that foreigners are doing. And so it is time to protect the island at the same time that you want to bring in more and more people. Of course, with Independence Day coming up, nationalism is kind of coming to a boil right now in the country. And who is this PEKAT IB? The United Indonesia Association was founded June 1st, 2007, and for an indefinite period of time. The central leadership of PEKAT Indonesia Bersatu, that's the IB, is based in Jakarta. Basic principles are focused around Pancasila and the 1945 Constitution. And the organization is for bringing together elements of society, both individuals and groups, to unite and work together to uphold the unity and integrity of the nation and state. So this is a non-governmental organization who wants to keep an eye on how Indonesia is developing. Hadn't heard about them until this story came out the other day. So, more organizations with the idea of keeping foreigners under control. 2 days, Health Service immunizes 20,000 children for polio. The implementation of the 2024 National Polio Immunization Week PIN in Badung is still ongoing. Actually, it's ongoing all over the island. And in Badung, 20,867 children were immunized from a total of 60,412. The polio immunization must be given to infants, toddlers, and children ages 0 to 7 years, 11 months, 29 days. With the kickoff of PIN Polio, we hope to form a spirit of togetherness and commitment to implement PIN Polio properly. Active community participation is very important to achieve the target of optimal immunization coverage. The target for all regions, 95%. It should be 100%. The implementation is taking place from the 23rd to the 29th of July, and if there's some gaps, it can be continued until the 3rd of August. It was revealed that Indonesia is a high-risk area for polio transmission and the occurrence of polio outbreaks. Therefore, the PIN program is part of the national strategy to prevent the spread of polio in Indonesia by ensuring that every child receives a dose according to specified schedules. Okay, that is it for today. The usual weirdness happening around the island. Tourists are flooding in here. We see more and more tourists down by the harbor, my granddaughter and I. And so, if you're here as a tourist, hope you're enjoying yourself and behaving. And for those of us that live here on a regular basis, well, some big changes have been coming and some big changes are yet to come. So strap in. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time.